A concrete sarcophagus, buried 7 meters deep in the gut of Berlin. An impenetrable fortress designed to protect Adolf Hitler from his enemies. It's called the Führerbunker.
The Führerbunker is a place full of mystery and unanswered questions. Soviet reports mention burned bodies and broken teeth, but these details only raise more doubts. Did Hitler really die there? Or was the bunker part of a complicated trick? The truth remains a puzzling mystery. The construction of the Führerbunker. The Führerbunker was a hidden fortress beneath the gardens of the Reich Chancellery in Berlin. While it looked like any other government building from above, underground was a secret network that became the site of the last moments of Adolf Hitler's rule. Built in the mid-1930s as a shelter, it transformed by the end of World War II into the most notorious bunker in history. Here, key decisions were made, alliances fell apart, and Hitler's empire came to an end. When the bunker was finally opened after Berlin's fall, what was found inside surprised the world and changed how people viewed the last days of the Third Reich. Construction of the Führerbunker began in 1936 with the Führerbunker, or forward bunker. This simple air raid shelter provided basic protection during bombings. It was functional and unremarkable. But as the war worsened, so did Hitler's close circle's anxiety and urgency. By 1943, with increased Allied bombings targeting Berlin, they decided to expand the bunker. The Führerbunker, built directly beneath the garden of the Reich Chancellery, was completed in 1944. This was no ordinary shelter. Located 8.5 meters underground, almost like a 3-story building buried below the surface, the Führerbunker had concrete walls up to 4 meters thick. Its roof measured around 3 meters and was built to resist heavy bombing. Inside, there were 30 rooms sealed behind heavy steel doors. The narrow corridors gave a feeling of confinement. 2 emergency exits led up to the garden, one hidden by stairs that opened into the Reich Chancellery. 2 ventilation towers disguised the vital air supply system for those inside. Despite its harsh design, the bunker functioned as a self-sufficient world. A diesel generator provided electricity, and water came from pumps. Communication lines included a telephone switchboard, telex, and direct army radio connections. This allowed the bunker's occupants to stay in touch with Germany's failing front lines. The Führerbunker was not just a refuge, it was a command center where Hitler could continue to fight as Berlin was destroyed. At the center of this underground fortress were Hitler's private rooms. They were small but carefully organized. The bedroom had a narrow bed, simple furniture, and little decoration. Next to it was his study, which had a portrait of Frederick the Great, reminding Hitler of the legacy he wanted to recreate. The map room was next door and served as the center for military updates, with charts and documents covering the walls and tables. Eva Braun had a small suite nearby. Her rooms had furniture from the Chancellery above, an attempt to make the cold environment feel warmer. Life in the bunker was bleak despite its power. The walls were damp due to Berlin's high water table, and pumps ran constantly to stop flooding. The stale air smelled of concrete, sweat, and diesel fumes, and the ventilation could never fully mask the odors. By January 1945, Hitler left the Chancellery above and moved into the Führerbunker underground. On January 16th, as Soviet forces advanced toward Berlin, he officially took residence there. He stayed underground for 105 days, following strict routines while his regime faced collapse. Each morning, Hitler received military briefings in the map room. Generals shared increasingly alarming reports. Meals took place in a small dining area with his secretaries and Eva Braun. He occasionally walked in the garden above with his German shepherd, Blondie. But these moments grew rarer as the shelling of Berlin increased. Despite the impending defeat, Hitler kept a daily tea ritual with his closest companions. The staff in the bunker formed a tight-knit group bound by loyalty, fear, and resignation. Along with Hitler and Eva Braun, key figures included Martin Bormann, the head of the party chancellery, and Joseph Goebbels, the minister of propaganda, who moved his family into the bunker in its final weeks. Other staff included Heinz Linge, Hitler's valet, Otto Gunsche, his adjutant, and a few secretaries, cooks, and guards. Each person tried to maintain some order while witnessing the decline of the Nazi regime. The bunker felt oppressive both physically and emotionally. The sound of Allied bombs echoed through the thick walls, reminding everyone that the world above was in chaos. Tension ran high. Once an influential leader commanding armies, Hitler now felt trapped in a small space where the burden of defeat pressed down on him. Still, the Führerbunker was not just a hiding place. From there, Hitler gave orders to divisions that no longer existed, promised counteroffensives that would never come, and tried to cling to a vision of victory even as the reality of defeat surrounded him. This bunker symbolized isolation, fear, and the fall of a dictator who once ruled a continent. In those last days, the walls that had once heard footsteps and whispers would soon witness despair, betrayal, and death. What happened in those final weeks would not only mark the end of World War II, but also create one of history's lasting mysteries: the final days of the war. By April 1945, Berlin had become a battlefield. The Soviet Red Army was closing in from the east, and artillery fire shook the ground above. Inside the Führerbunker, Adolf Hitler faced the collapse of his world. The bunker, once a shield from bombs, was now a tomb waiting for him. The war's final days unfolded in the dimly lit rooms beneath the garden of the Reich Chancellery. On April 20th, 1945, Hitler stepped outside for the last time to mark his 56th birthday. He looked frail and aged by the war as he greeted a group of young Hitler youth. Many of the boys were no older than 14. Hitler awarded them the Iron Cross for their bravery in defending a city that was already lost. The days that followed were filled with rage, betrayal, and despair. News reached him that senior officials were abandoning their posts or trying to save themselves. The worst blow came when Hitler learned that Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS and one of his most loyal supporters, had secretly tried to negotiate a surrender with the Western Allies. Hitler saw this as the ultimate betrayal. He denounced Himmler as a traitor and shouted that loyalty had disappeared among almost everyone around him. Inside the bunker, the atmosphere grew darker. Generals argued over strategies that no longer mattered. Hitler issued commands to divisions that existed only on paper. Shells shook the walls, dust fell from the ceiling, and a doom filled the air. In the early hours of April 29th, Hitler took two significant steps. He married Eva Braun, who had been by his side for years but primarily lived in his shadow. The ceremony was brief, with only a few witnesses in the bunker. Afterward, he dictated his political testament, explaining and justifying his actions. In it, he condemned those he believed had betrayed him and reaffirmed his ideological war, even as everything fell apart around him. On April 30th, Hitler and Eva Braun took their final actions in the bunker. Eva chose cyanide while Hitler used a firearm. Afterward, their bodies were moved to the garden and partially cremated to hide them from the Soviets. In those final moments, other loyal figures like Joseph Goebbels and his wife chose to die alongside Hitler. Survivors in the bunker, including Martin Bormann, Heinz Linge, and Traudl Junge, experienced confusion and exhaustion as the situation deteriorated. Hitler's dog, Blondie, also met a tragic end. By May 1st, Soviet troops were closing in, taking control of the Chancellery and surrounding the bunker. They found evidence of the past regime's collapse, including charred remains that raised unsettling questions about Hitler's last moments. These discoveries sparked debates among historians and governments for years to come. The shocking discovery. On May 2nd, 1945, Berlin surrendered. Soviet troops found the Führerbunker, where Hitler had lived his last days. Inside, they saw a terrible scene and found burned bodies in the garden. This led to rumors that the bodies might belong to Hitler and his closest friends. Instead of confirming Hitler's death, Stalin decided to spread false information, claiming Hitler had escaped to places like Spain or Argentina. This created confusion among the Allies. In 1947, efforts began to erase the bunker, but some parts remained and were later buried under new buildings. In late 1945, British historian Hugh Trevor Roper was assigned to discover what happened to Hitler. He interviewed survivors and collected chilling stories about the last moments in the bunker. The Soviets provided crucial evidence in the form of dental remains. Hitler's dentists confirmed the dental work matched his records, giving strong proof of his death. But the Soviets kept this information hidden. The Soviets also cataloged items left in the bunker. Blood-stained furniture pointed to the violence that took place. They found logs and maps showing final military briefings as Berlin fell. They discovered personal items belonging to Hitler and Eva Braun, including her clothing and keepsakes, along with intact and broken cyanide capsules and the remains of Hitler's dog, Blondie. A particularly striking discovery was a document dated April 29, 1945. It contained Hitler's political testament in which he blamed others for his downfall rather than his own choices. The Soviets boxed these items and sent them to Moscow, which fueled conspiracy theories. Stalin's silence left space for rumors about secret escapes and imposters. As they demolished the bunker and buried it beneath East Berlin, it became a mysterious relic. What had been destroyed or removed remained unknown for decades. Slowly, testimonies and artifacts came to light, helping historians uncover the hidden truths about Hitler's final days and the desperate efforts to address the evidence of his downfall. The investigation of the bunker artifacts. The Führerbunker story didn't end when it was found in May 1945. The Soviets took away many artifacts, including bone fragments, teeth, blood-stained objects, and hastily signed documents. This sparked one of the most controversial investigations in recent history. For decades, secrecy, propaganda, and distrust clouded the evidence, making it hard for historians and forensic experts to separate fact from lies. The most important discoveries were fragments of jawbone and dental bridges. Soviet autopsy notes claimed these remains belonged to Hitler, but for years Western powers had limited access to them. The identification depended mainly on the testimony of Hitler's dentist's assistants, Katie Heisermann and Fritz Eckmann. Heisermann described the unique dental bridges and fillings in detail, while Eckmann confirmed the type of dental work used. Their statements created the first direct link between the remains and Hitler. Doubts about Hitler's death persisted for decades, fueled by skepticism over Soviet claims and fears of disinformation. It wasn't until 2018 that a French forensic team confirmed Hitler's identity by matching jaw fragments with X-rays from 1944. However, a skull fragment displayed in Moscow as evidence of his suicide turned out to belong to a woman under 40, complicating the narrative further. The artifacts from Hitler's bunker revealed insights into his final days, showcasing his paranoia and obsession with control. This claustrophobic space symbolized his mental collapse as he faced defeat. The concrete that was meant to protect him instead became his prison. For years, East Germany concealed the bunker's location, worried it might become a shrine for extremists. Today, the site is marked by a simple plaque in a parking lot, leading to debates about how to remember such dark history. While forensic evidence supports Hitler's death, questions remain, especially about the mismatched skull fragment and Stalin's motives in spreading rumors of Hitler's escape. As the investigation concluded, attention turned to the fates of others in the bunker, with one man's story continuing to fuel conspiracy theories. The disturbing conspiracy theories. The fall of Berlin in May 1945 raised questions about what happened to Adolf Hitler. Many rumors quickly spread that he had escaped, partly because leaders like Marshal Georgy Zhukov and Joseph Stalin suggested he might still be alive. This made many people doubt the Soviet claims about his death. In a 1945 U.S. opinion poll, 68% of Americans believed Hitler was still alive. Some theories said he had fled to South America and might have taken a U-boat to Argentina, where his supporters supposedly built him a hideout. Others claimed he could be in Paraguay or Brazil, based on the absolute escapes of other Nazis. However, there was no solid evidence that Hitler had survived. Some theories suggest that Hitler faked his death using doubles, as other Nazi leaders had done. After the war, rumors about his sightings in different places emerged, but intelligence agencies found no credible evidence of his escape. In 1945, Soviet officials kept dental remains that forensic scientists later confirmed in 2017. Eyewitness accounts from the bunker also supported the conclusion that Hitler died in 1945. Soviet secrecy added to the ongoing speculation and fueled conspiracy theories about his fate. Even with the evidence, people still find unresolved historical mysteries intriguing, like the case of Amelia Earhart's disappearance. In the end, the evidence shows that Hitler died in the bunker, but questions about power and memory related to his story continue to exist. What do you think? Did Hitler really die in the bunker or fake his death? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe for more.